and welcome to episode 3 of Talking Good Game. Tonight we'll be talking about a Europa League game primarily, which I couldn't see because there was no stream, but the good news is I've got 2 people here with me that did see it. Also, we were able to send 10 people along to the game, courtesy of Betway, for free, so massive thanks to Betway, and I hope the 10 people did actually enjoy the game. I'm Red Hammer. I forgot to introduce myself last week. Someone gave me a row for it, so very pernickety. So I'm Red Hammer, so I can't get out tonight. Apologies if we're a bit iffy at the start, but Gonzo has been messing around for the last 10-15 minutes, playing with all these features and playing with a minion and God knows what else, so me and Scott have been put off a bit. But anyway, as you might know, Gonzo's here. Hello, Gonzo.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. It wasn't a euphemism. I was actually it was a minion. It was a genuine minion.
Also, Gonzo tonight being well more behaved is Scott, who was with us last week as well, and I'm pleased to say he's returned, so we haven't put him off just yet. Thanks for coming back, Scott.
Thanks very much for inviting me back.
No bother. And Scott's only just got back from the game after travelling up the motorway. He's not long home, and he left straight after the final whistle, so thanks for him to coming on. As I didn't see the game, there is someone I have spoke to who generally has the same opinion about me in football. So if any of my questions are wrong, you can blame Steph. It's her fault. That's me passing the buck already. Gonzo, first of all, for the next, just give us a minute or so on your overview of the game last night, if you like, without going into too much detail.
It was. I really enjoyed it. I think people are disappointed with the result. But I think I spent so much time last season whinging and moaning about, not just last season, but all the time before, about Allardyce, the way he sets his teams up. So I was saying things like, oh, you know what, I wouldn't even mind watching a draw if at least we were going for it, if there was some skill on offer. And you know what, last night we got that. I actually enjoyed myself.
Well, that wasn't very much an overview of the game, was it? You just enjoyed yourself.
Scott, I didn't go to the game. Who said I went to the game?
Scott, have you got a better description of the game than that?
Yeah, I enjoyed myself too. No, again, the result apart, it could have gone better. But what they put on, before it started to go a little bit pear-shaped, was very much. It was encouraging to watch players going forward, taking players on. It was nice to see.
Yeah, one thing people seem to agree on was that the red card was the turning point of the game. Scott, would you agree with that? Would you say that it was a turning point? Would you say it was maybe a harsh red card? According to Steph, anyway, it was maybe a bit harsh, but she does think that Collins was a bit silly and naive to be making the second challenge, as he knows he was on the booking, and he should have known the player was going to go to the ground and try and get him booked. But do you think that was a turning point?
I think it was, yeah. I think it was, and I think the tactics after that was the turning point as well. I think he was a bit naive. He had cover behind him. He should have seen the cover that he had behind him. He had 2 players behind him. Not really blaming him. He did what he had to do. If he wasn't, if he was an Astra player and not a West Ham player, whatever, shouting for him to get a red card, I would. He had 2 bookable offences. He had to go.
Yeah, that's very honest of you, I suppose. Gonzo, do you think it was a red card?
I didn't see it. Seriously, I was in the corner of the east stand. It was miles away from me. Wouldn't be fair. I mean, crikey, everyone else around me must have excellent eyesight because they all saw it. I mean, the other thing was because it was being filmed, because it wasn't being filmed, we didn't have the big screens either. So, I mean, in all honesty, my view of the second half was fantastic from an attacking point of view. But obviously, all the defensive stuff was up the other end. So I really couldn't say with any certainty. But the crowd certainly weren't very happy with the ref generally.
Yeah, but we know your eyesight's not the best. I mean, check those curtains.
They're not checkmate. There's something wrong with your eyesight. That's a floral matter, for goodness sake. Hey, everything's tartar with you, Scottish. Come on.
It is beautiful. But anyway, Gonzo, do you think it was a turning point? And Scott briefly touched on it, and that was something that Steph had told me, that once the red card had happened, that tactically the team, or Bilic, if you want to lay blame at his door, didn't adapt quick enough or well enough to accommodate the fact that Oxford has slipped into the back four. What's your views on that?
Well, yeah. I mean, it was absolutely the turning point. I think probably the first thing to say was that their first goal was absolutely fantastic. The guy wouldn't be able to repeat it. I'm sure if he tried it again, it was a beautiful strike. Yeah, Oxford was. I don't know if you were going to sort of touch on that later on at all, but since you brought it up, I was very, very impressed with that boy. He's 16 years of age to show that level of composure, even in so many tackles in the middle of the park. As much as I said my view of the sending off wasn't great, I had a really good view of Oxford throughout the game. I really, really was impressed with the way he would tackle, break up play, and then just move the ball on very, very well. And what was also quite telling was the way he was giving commands out to Coyote and to Noble alongside him, telling them where to stand, telling them where he wanted them to stand so as he could pass them the ball. Very impressed. And we definitely missed out something when he went back into defence as well as being a man short.
Yeah, Scott, do you think maybe the third substitution instead of Jarvis coming on, do you think maybe hindsight's always a great thing, but do you think maybe we should have took on Poyet to put him in alongside Noble and try and keep that 4-4-1 structure, if you like, and just maybe just accept the 2-0 and just try and defend that?
Yeah, very much so. As I expected it to do. I expected them to just be able to shut shop up. We're a Premiership team. We're 2-0 up. It's not like we're playing a Manchester United or an Arsenal, somebody with speed. I thought we could have kept them at 2. For some reason, we went into survival mode. We went so deep. We just invited them onto us, and the goal was fantastic. The first one, he'd had 1 or 2 cracks before that, and they were, they're still in mid-air. They're still going them shots. So I don't think he could have repeated that again. But we just seemed to sit back and invite the pressure onto us, and then from then on, it did get a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, I've seen the goals. I've seen the highlights on the official site. The official site's got the actual highlights up in. All the highlights are on the official site. So I've seen it. It was an absolute belter. Reminds me of myself, really, to be honest with you. It was something I used to crack out on a weekly basis for my local team, but I don't want to go too much into that. Gonzo, one thing Steph said was that Creswell and the commentators on the radio tried to mention this quite a lot of times, was Bilic was ushering Creswell up that left-hand side as much as he could, and he was almost playing as a winger sometimes. He was certainly more wing-back than full-back. Do you think that's maybe part of the plan for the season, try and get Creswell and eventually Jenkins up the pitch as much as possible? Yeah,
undoubtedly, actually. I think that's where our wit's coming from. It's quite telling as well that there was no established right back there. No offence to Joey O'Brien, of course. I think when Jenkinson is there, there's going to be a real threat from those areas. And the guys who are sort of playing slightly wider, it's almost as if we are playing with 3 number 10s. And they're quite narrow. And I just think it works really, really well. I mean, I'm very, very excited by what I saw last night. And on so many levels, so many players seem to be finding their form. And he was certainly, to answer your question, ushering them forward, but not just that. He's very vocal, very animated on the touchline, and he was very much telling everybody to pass it and exactly what to do. The instruction coming from him was excellent.
Yeah, it makes a difference having a manager out of his seat, doesn't it? Yeah, instead of slouching in a chair like I am just now, chewing his gum and sipping his brothel. Scott, one thing that Steph said that surprised me was that Maiga played, I think she described it as pretty decent, which I don't know if she's pulling my leg, is just hoping I mention it and make an absolute fool of myself, but is that something you agree with? Did he play okay, or is there still hope for him yet?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I mean, just not isolating him, I think everybody had a good game last night. Everybody was up for it. He didn't play. He's not in my good books yet, but he had a decent game. He's one to watch, I think.
One to watch. That's the kind of way to put it. Gonzo, do you agree with that? Do you think he actually put in effort? Because last week, I suppose, we were all quite united in saying that Maiga was one of the players who didn't really try over in Malta and just didn't seem overly bothered. Do you think last night maybe he upped his effort a wee bit?
Well, there's a difference between putting in an effort and being an asset, isn't there? He put in an effort. He jumps. He jumped. He contested the balls well. He's quite a strong boy. He's got a good spring in him. But I mean, he's not good enough. Obviously, Valencia went off injured, and then he came on, and it's you just know that nothing's going to come of him. That he's not going to score. Unless he can score a hat trick, of course, next week. But now I've said that. But you just don't ever feel a goal's going to come from him. So no, I'm not a fan. He did win he should have won a penalty. I thought we had a really good penalty shout turned down. To be fair, so yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I remember that incident on the radio, and that's when Bilic got sent off in the event eventually, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, that's right.
But you spoke about Valencia, and that leads us on to our next topic quite nicely, so cheers for that. Scott, obviously, Joey Bryan went off injured first, and then Enner Valencia went off on a stretcher, and it looks like a bad one. It looks like it could be his ligaments in his knee, plus his ankle could be injured as well, and there's chat that he's out for up to 6 months, which is a massive blow considering Carroll's not back till September. Do you think the Europa League is maybe then... There was a lot in the forum had their reservations about the Europa League. To be honest with you, a lot of people at the end of the season said they didn't want it. I, however, did. But do you think it's worth it, Scott, or do you think that getting in the Europa League, especially at this route, is just too much of a hindrance?
I think I know we're a West Ham forum, but I think about teams like Everton in the past that have got into the Europa League and then struggled throughout that season or the season after. That was always a worry for me. And now that we're starting to get injuries, it's sort of coming to fruition. But for me, it gave us that opportunity before the Premier League started to get some competitive games in, and for the manager to be able to put players in, see how they go in competitive games, not games against non-league sides and lower league sides. Really test players, and I think he's got a lot of information out of it. If we go into the next game and lose, I wouldn't be too upset.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people go by social media almost giving up on the Europa League a wee bit. I'll say my tuppence in a minute, but Gonzo, you've obviously been on the forum from the word go since you made it. But you'll
funny that, yeah.
You'll know what, but you'll know everyone's opinions when we're qualifying through fair play. So you will have seen what I'd seen, everyone's opinions. But it wasn't very well received. But obviously hindsight's a good thing. But do you think it's worth it, or are you a bit like Scott, thinking that it has its positives?
Well, I agree with what Scott said. Pretty much everything he said there, really. I was anti to start with, for exactly the reasons he said. Everton, all these other teams struggle when they're in Europe. But you know what? You get into that stage, you walk down Green Street, you muscle your way out of the stadium, and you walk down, and it's the buzz gets you, and it takes you. And at that point, you really want to win, and you want us to go through. So it's the head and the heart, really. You know, they're two separate things, and I desperately want us to continue with it, even though I know it's wrong. You know. Yeah.
If you guys have got an opinion on this, though, which you obviously will, then please pop on the forum and just give us your views on it, because it'll be worth knowing if you think the Europa League is good or bad, because I think it splits opinions. The other thing that does split opinions a lot over the last 24 hours on the social media, and that can go into meltdown a wee bit after what you deem a negative result, which is what we're going to touch upon next. Gonzo, I muted you from this topic on the forum. There's people discussing what team we should play on Thursday, whether we should just deal the second team and be done with it, or do try and play a decent, strong team, and then obviously we've got Arsenal 3 days after at the Emirates when we kick off our Premier League. What would you do if you were in Bilic's shoes?
Well, unfortunately the ties worked out the wrong way round for us, and I don't know. I think they've managed to sandwich in a game against Werder Bremen in between, so that I would question. I don't think the friendly was necessary. I don't know if they could have cancelled it or what, but there you go. Funny enough, Black Diamond's written a really nice piece on the forum and the match thread, actually, which is a little bit cynical, but very, very nicely written. I think if we'd have been at home, a no-brainer. I think 4 days is probably enough for those guys. But the real difference between our team, but it is actually fun. It is people like Payet, it's people like Zarate. There's a dynamic to our team, and there's a flair to it. And I think if they're rested for that Europa Cup game, and we are going to see Nolan in there, and I guess Sakho's back fit, but back available after his suspension. I think if you take those two out, the only other guy that's going to provide any flair is Lanzini, and we've not seen him yet apart from on YouTube. I think if we send, well, you can make up the team in your own mind. I think if we do send Nolan and Jarvis, and the rest of what you might call the B team out to Romania, then they're not going to get the result. You're pretty much saying we don't want to continue anymore. It's hard. In all honesty, I don't know. I don't really know what I would do. I'd perhaps try and play a strong team in both. Can we do that? Can footballers play in a 4-day gap? They should be able to, shouldn't they?
Yeah, it's just a 3-day gap. Just so you know, I'm not sure where you're getting the extra day of the week from.
Oh right, time zones. I told you, I'm going down to Devon. I'm going on holiday. It does a funny thing, you know.
Scott, what's your views on that? You were in the Village's shoes.
Me definitely, I'd feel a weak inside and hope that we can get something from it. Priorities Premier League. Priorities about keeping best players available for Premier League. I'd be gutted. I mean, I think if we didn't have the injuries up front that we've got, then we might have a go at it. But I don't want to risk anybody. I want us to go out there against Arsenal, give it our best shot, like in every Premier League game that we go into. Like I say, if we can get something, but I'm with Gonzo. I think if we send a weak inside out there, we're not going to get anything from it.
So both of you think if we're a weakened team, we're going to be out of Europa League?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough, but I'm quite the opposite from the two of you. One, I think the players should be able to play Thursday night and Sunday. Teams have managed in Champions League playing Wednesday and Saturday for the last however many years, so I think they should be fit enough. I mean, at the end of the day, they are elite professionals, if you like. They should be fit enough. I do get the point that you may pick up injuries and then come Arsenal, you're missing one or two key players because of the Thursday game, but I'm only going by people's reviews, but the fact that we were so in control on Thursday until that red card makes me think that we should be able to go to Romania with the first team, and we don't really need to hit top gear. Like Scott touched on earlier, we should be able to go over there, get the goal or whatever, and just shut up shop. We only have to win 1-0, nothing fancy. And that's something Bilic used to do really well at his previous clubs before he came here, which is why I was quite surprised we blew away a 2-goal lead under him. One thing he's always had is a good defence, because I was quite concerned when he was coming that we were going to see a lot of 1-0 wins, and I was very concerned about that because I thought we were replacing Allardyce with someone very similar. But he's impressed me so far with his football, and it seems to be that he's going to, well, with the Creswell thing, he's just going to go for it as long as we're scoring more than the opposition, which is what we want to see. But I just think the Europa League's massive for us, because if we get beat on at Arsenal, which there's a very good chance of happening no matter what team we play, all we do is sacrifice 3 points. But if we beat Astra, we're then just 180 minutes away from the group stages of the Europa League, and who knows who we're going to get in that group. I mean, there's Champions League, people get beat in qualifiers to come into this draw as well, so it could be a tough draw, but we could end up having some massive teams at the goal in the last season there with a Europa League run, at least 3 nights in Europe if we hit the group stages, and that's something that I think is essential for the club. People have spoke about it on the forum, how crucial could this be to luring certain players in over the next month before the transfer window shuts. Gonzo, we need a new striker. Do you think the Europa League could actually impact who we get in if we don't have Europe on offer compared to whether we do have Europe on offer?
I saw somebody mention earlier on that Charlie Austin wouldn't come if we didn't have Europa League. I think the competition is viewed with disdain in this country. I think someone like Austin, it wouldn't matter. I think if you're looking at Hernandez or a European striker, there's a certain amount of kudos attached to that competition. So that may or may not. I mean, they need to pull out the stops. It's a desperate situation with the striker, and I thought that beforehand anyway, because Sacco, as you well know, I think is a really good natural finisher. But I think the level between Sacco and the rest, bearing in mind, Carroll, you're not going to see Carroll for more than 15 games a season. I'm sorry to say, he's been injured almost every year of his career since he signed for Liverpool. He's not suddenly going to become a really fit guy who never gets injured. You know, he's not going to become one of those players. He is what he is. So with that in mind, I think the next step down from Sacco to Valencia and Maiga is quite a big jump. So we need someone up there. We need to, that is the most urgent signing, is another striker, and it needs to be done quickly.
Yeah, I do have faith in the board, in all honesty, though. I do have faith.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I've got no doubt that they are searching high and low, and we're getting linked with strikers left, right, and centre for a reason. That's probably because they are looking left, right, and centre for one. Scott, do you think the Europa League has a draw? Because although in England and up here in Scotland, we can bite Europe off quite easily. We can say, just feel the second team. If we're out, whatever. Let's constitute a league. But in Europe, if you like, it's a lot more prestigious. People take it a lot more seriously than we do, unfortunately. Do you think it's essential for drawing a top striker in?
I think it's got its pull if you're in Europe. But I don't. How many top strikers are there around at the moment? Everyone's after a striker, and there's not that many out there. Top strikers. So it's who are we going to get? Who are we going to pull? I think Europe would say that we get a better class striker interested in us. But like I said, you look on. I mean, I'm on Twitter and things, and you look around and you see who's been banded around, and who are the top strikers that are available to us. I'm not too sure who's out there.
Gonzo, why are you muting your mic?
I had a drink of water. I thought it'd be polite. Yeah, that's professional. I'm professional, okay? You swigging your Highland Spring earlier, glug, 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 without muting it.
It's not wrong, my Highland Spring, thank you very much. Good stuff, that. But yeah, I think the striker is priority. But like I said, I've got 100% faith in this board. Gonzo wants to do a show about that in the future. We'll probably do it once the transfer window's closed, so we can evaluate the whole transfer window as a whole. So we'll speak about the owners in particular, if you like. So that'd be good. But anyway, that's it all for this week. But Scott, thank you very much for coming on again.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
And I'm sure we'll be seeing you again shortly. And maybe your pink frogs might make an appearance one week.
I saw one. One was at the window earlier, behind the thing.
There, you can actually see it. Scott, go speak so your screen comes up.
Say it again.
There, you can see the frog. It's on there.
Is it?
It's there. It's there.
Up here.
Sorry, people watching. Yeah, Scott's got a pink frog. We're very fascinating. Right, that's how poor this show is. But thank you for watching. You can get involved. Remember to subscribe to us and comment below. But ultimately, pop on the forum and give us your views. We'll be back, we hope, on Wednesday night, speaking about the Arsenal game and the season coming up with our expectations, etc. And you can get involved in that. We might have heaps of people on at certain points during the show. Gonzo doesn't know this yet, he's panicking. But if you want to come on just for 5 minutes, just to give your expectations for the season coming, and just direct message us on Twitter or myself on Gonzo on the forum and we'll get you on. But thank you very much for coming. Thank you.